In this video, we're going to take a look at the WordPress admin dashboard. This is the first thing you see when you log in, and it's mostly informational, though there are some tools on this page that you can use. Right at the top here, we have a section called Welcome to WordPress. This is mostly for beginners. Right on the left here, we have the option to get started with customizing our site, and you can change your theme, the way the front end looks. I'm mostly going to cover what's on this dashboard, and most of its functionality we'll get into in later videos. We have a section here where we can write your first blog post, or add an about page, or just view your site. And then you can manage widgets and menus and turn comments on or off, and learn more. Here in the top right is a dismiss button, and you can click it to dismiss that widget. Each of these boxes is called a widget. And since they're on the dashboard, they're specifically called dashboard widgets. Now, if you want to get that back, in the top right is Screen Options. And each of these items is one of the widgets on the page. And you'll notice Welcome is unchecked. So if we check it, it comes back. Check it again, and it goes away. Almost every page in the entire admin area has a Screen Options button with a variety of options, so you should check that out as you go through your WordPress journey. We also have a Help tab, and here's an overview, and on the right there's documentation on the dashboard and support forums. Then it talks about navigation, layout, and content. And these are all specifically related to the dashboard. In the top left, we have the At a Glance widget, which shows you how many posts, comments, and pages you have, what version of WordPress you're running, what theme you're running, and whether or not search engines are discouraged. If there's a new version of WordPress available, it will tell you right here in this box. In the top right, you'll note there's a little up arrow. You can click it and window shade this box. Click it again, it comes back. Also interesting, you'll note that when you hover over the title bar, the cursor becomes a plus. That's because you can drag these around and reorder them. Below At a Glance is Activity. It shows you recently published posts, when they were published, and recent comments. And it even allows you to manage comments right from here. And it shows you what kind of comments you have existing on your system. The top right is a quick draft. This allows you to very quickly write a very simple blog post. They're automatically saved as drafts. You can't publish from here. So this is more like a note-taking place for future blog posts. And below that is WordPress News, and this comes from a variety of locations. If you find yourself not using one of these widgets, under Screen Options, you can simply turn it off. If you get your WordPress News somewhere else, turn it off. If you don't use the quick draft, you can turn that off as well. And then you could drag this right up there. And now you have a shorter dashboard. It's possible to get other dashboard widgets from plugins, and we'll go over that in the plugins section. But there are many plugins which will add dashboard widgets to give you information that you want to know. For example, there are a variety of Google Analytics dashboard widgets. So as soon as you log in, you see your analytics without even having to go to Google. Most e-commerce platforms have a dashboard widget, so you can see sales and things like that right on your dashboard. Some people find the dashboard to be extremely useful and use it all the time. Other people find that they rarely use it and they simply don't put widgets on here. Either is fine. WordPress is here to be your tool, and you can use it however you wish. So you can fill the dashboard with useful widgets that you like, or you could simply ignore it and not really use it. It's entirely up to you. In this video, we're going to take a look at creating and managing posts. WordPress was created originally to be a blog, and so it's excellent at blogging. Let's take a look at how that works. On the left, there's a Posts menu item. And here you could view all posts, add a new post, or work with categories and tags. We're going to work with categories and tags in another video, so for now I'm going to click All Posts. WordPress comes with one built-in post called Hello World. You can edit, quick edit, trash, or view. It tells you here on this page who the author is, what category it's in, what tags it has, how many comments it has, and when it was published. Here at the top, we can bulk edit or bulk move to trash. We can view posts either in all dates or specific months. And we can view by category. We can also search posts here in the top right. If we go to Screen Options, you can choose what columns appear here. You can also show how many items per page. The default is 20. It can be useful if you're trying to convert many posts either to trash or change their category, to set this to a higher number like 100. But if you get too high, then your server can run out of memory trying to load just this page. So don't get too high. You can also show in list view or excerpt view mode. There, now we're in excerpt mode and you can see more information about each post. I'm going to go back to list view. And there we are. We're going to see the editor in a few minutes, but I'd like to show you Quick Edit. It simply opens this up just like that, and you can do things like change the title or the slug, which is part of the URL, the post date, set a password or make it private, work with categories and tags. You can turn on and off comments and pings, and you can change the status from published, pending review, and draft, or make this post sticky, which we'll look at it in a little bit, and then simply update it. So I'm going to turn off comments. Note that we weren't able to change the content of the post at all. This quick edit is really about changing the metadata related to a post. Now, before we create our own post, I'm going to trash this one. And you'll note that now I have all and trash, none published, and I can optionally undo. If I go into trash, then one of my options is to empty trash. And now it's gone. So now I'm going to click Add New. I can do it here, or in the left nav, or in the WP admin bar at the top. Any one of them does exactly the same thing. At the top of the post admin page is a place for a title, and you simply type it in. And then when you click somewhere else, WordPress will immediately create a URL for you. Now this one's kind of ugly. We'd really like it to be ostraining.dev/myfirstpost. And I'll show you how to make it do that in another video. Then below is the content box. We'll go over this in another video also, because it has a great many features, and I want to do it justice. So let's look in the top right here. This is called the Publish box. In here we can save this as a draft for later editing. We could preview it so we can see what it looks like on the web without actually making it live for anyone else to see. We can change the status, and until it's published we can only do draft and pending review. We can change visibility. Public, password protected, which means anyone can see the page itself but not the content until they type in a password. And then private, which means no one can even tell that the page exists. And then we have the option here to stick this post to the front page. And they mean the front page of your blog, which may not be the front page of your site. It makes this post stick to the top, so that even though you may publish other posts at a later date, they won't push it down the page. And you can also schedule this post. So by default, it publishes immediately, but you could set a future or past date. If you set a past date, it goes live immediately with that past date on it. But if you set a future date, it will publish itself on that date and time. So you could write a series of posts and go on vacation, and your blog would post itself for you while you were gone. And then use a button to move it to trash or to publish. Here we have a box called Format. Not all themes support the Format box, but this one does. This works a little like Tumblr if you're used to Tumblr. You can say that this post is a link, or a quote, or a video, or an image, or audio, or chat, or something like that. And all it really does is put some CSS classes around your content so that your theme can say, oh look, this is a video. I want to make it look different from an image or something else. You don't have to use this. It's entirely up to you. Below that we have categories, and below that is tags, and we'll cover those in another video also. And then there's the featured image. You can associate an image with this post. It doesn't put it in the post. It merely says that the post and the image are related. Then your theme can choose to do whatever it wants with that. Some themes put your featured image right at the top, right above everything. Some put it in the middle as a pullout, or some put it at the bottom. Some don't render it at all. You'll want to know how it's going to look. And we'll take a look at that in another video also. Now in the top right under Screen Options, we have some options that aren't selected. I'm going to turn them all on and we can see what they do. So now we have an excerpt box. This allows you to provide a short description of your post. And this may or may not be used by your theme again. But often excerpts get listed on archive pages. So when you're looking at a page with 10 or 20 posts on it, rather than show the entire post or only the title, you get a short description. Again, this is totally optional and up to you. You may or may not use it. Then we have a trackbacks box. A trackback allows you to ask WordPress to go tell another website about your post. And this is usually done when you're blogging about someone else's post. And it's sort of like leaving a comment without actually saying anything. It's more like you're saying, hey, I left a really big long comment on my own blog over here. Trackbacks and pingbacks are becoming much less common. So unless you're already familiar with this concept, you probably won't use it much. Then we have the custom fields area. You can create a field with a name and put any value in it. So for instance, if you were writing a book report, you could put in book title, Gone with the Wind. And there we have that custom field. Now this is not automatically get rendered on the front end of your website. You would need to edit your theme code by hand. So unless you already have a theme that knows how to deal with custom fields, these probably aren't going to be much use to you. Or if you are a developer, it's not that hard actually to make your custom fields render. It's just a few lines of code. And this is an important box. Here you can allow or disallow comments and allow or disallow trackbacks and pingbacks. This will override the global setting. So for instance, if in site settings you have comments off, but you turn it on here, then this post will have comments available, even though for the rest of your site they're off. And here we have the slug. A slug is part of the URL. And in many cases, WordPress will create it for you from the title. So the slug for this automatically would be my-first-post. And normally you would see it here. We can make WordPress do that automatically in the settings under permalinks, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit. And lastly is author. I'm the only author on this site, but if you had perhaps a dozen authors, then you could have one person who posts regularly, but then sets the author to someone else, the person who actually wrote the content, as opposed to the person who's merely pasting it into WordPress. So let's briefly make some good content. That's awfully short. There's that. I'm not going to do trackbacks, and I don't want a custom field. I do want comments. I don't want trackbacks. I'm going to leave the slug empty, and there's the author. Let's set a featured image. I can upload files here, or I can use the media library, which is empty right now because I've never uploaded anything. So I'm going to select, and we'll choose baby giraffe. I'm going to take out the title and put in alternate text. And set featured image. And there it is. Now if I didn't want it, I could click remove featured image and it would go away. And now I'm going to publish. And you can see my URL is ostraining.dev/question p=5. In our next video, we'll take a look at all the different ways you can see this post on the front end of your website. In this video, we're going to take a look at viewing posts and all the different ways that that can be done. One of the first things we're going to do is look at permalinks. The permalink is the permanent link for a post. Right now, it's set to post ID, so p=5, but that's not a very informative link, and Google certainly doesn't like it. And right here we have a button to change permalinks, and that's going to take us to the settings page under permalinks. And here are our options. We could choose plain, which is what we have now, day and name, so it has the date in the post, month and name, numeric, which still isn't very useful, and post name. We can also choose custom structure, but we're not going to. We're going to choose post name because that's what we really want. Clicking each of these shows how the custom structure is built. So we'll just choose post name. And then we'll go to the bottom and we'll leave category base and tag base alone for now and click Save Changes. Now I'm going to close that tab and simply reload this page. And now you can see that my permalink is nice and readable. And you can edit it right here and change it to be anything you want. But my recommendation is that you leave it similar to the title. So now we want to view this post on the front end. We can click this link right here. I'm going to open it in a new tab. And here it is. My first post. There's my first excerpt. Here's my featured image. And then here's the content. So this particular theme puts the excerpt right under the title and above the featured image. But not every theme will do that. It shows my Gravatar icon, which is a service offered by Automatic, my author name, the date it was published, and an edit link because I'm logged in. And then down below is the comments section. Normally it would ask for name and email address, etc., but because I'm logged in, it already knows who I am, so I can simply comment. Now let's go to the home page, and here we are, and the home page is set to show all of every post. So if I made another post, there would be another one right underneath this one, rather than just the excerpt. Over on the right, I have a sidebar, and it shows recent posts, and I could click just to go right to my post. But then there's archives, and this is the date archive. So now my URL is /2016/01, because this post came out in January. And so this would show all the posts in January. I can also look at a category archive. Uncategorized is actually a category. And this archive page works exactly like the date archive page, except only for this category. And you can see the URL is /category/uncategorized. There's also a search archive. And this archive page works exactly like the dated one and exactly like the category one, except it's only showing search results. There's one last thing I'd like to show you, but it involves making a second post. I click Add New for a new post. And I'll simply publish it. And now I will go View my second post. And now let's look at the dated archive. And you can see there's my second post, followed by my first post. So the older posts always go at the end, and the newest posts always go at the top, on all archive pages. So to review, there are really only two types of interfaces we looked at. The single post, which is just a post, and then an archive page. And there are many types of archives in WordPress. There's the dated monthly archive, there's the category archive, there's a tag archive, there's the search results archive, and a variety of others. But they're all archive pages and they all behave the same way. The only difference is the parameters you give it to say what you want in that archive. In this video, we're going to look into the details of the WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get, editor in blog posts. We're looking here at my second post, and I want to show you an excellent way to get back to the editor for it. Right at the top, if you're logged in, is an Edit Post link. And here we are editing our post. So let's take a look at this editor. Much of it should be familiar to you if you use word processing software on pretty much any computer. We have a bold link, italics, strike through, bulleted list, and numbered list. And these can be made before or after the list. So for example, you could highlight two lines and make them bulleted, or numbered, or not. Or you could start like this. We have a block quote button. If you highlight it, it wraps it in the block quote tag, which can be rendered any way the front-end designer wants. Here in the editor, it puts a bar on the left and italicizes the text. But it may not necessarily look just like that on the front end of the site. You should do some tests. Then we have a horizontal line, which simply puts a line there, like that. We can align text left, center, or right, and we can make a link. We simply highlight some text and click. And here you can type in any link. You can choose to open it in a new tab, or you can link to existing content. And it will fill in the link for you. Then, if you don't want to link anymore, you can highlight any part of it and click Remove Link, and now it's simply not a link anymore. The next button is called an Insert Read More tag, and when you click it, it looks like that. But it actually has a function on the front end of the website. You may remember that when we were looking at the front of the site, it showed the whole post. If this tag is there, then it won't show the whole post. It will show everything before this line with a Read More link. So if you put this after the first paragraph, then on an archive page, you would see the title and the first paragraph, and then a read more link. Now this next button toggles another toolbar altogether. Here we can choose what kind of text we're working with. Regular paragraph text, or any of these headings, or pre-formatted. There's an underline, justify text, text color, and you can choose any of these. Then there's paste as text. Now this is important. If you click it, it says paste is now in plain text mode. Contents will now be pasted as plain text until you toggle this option off. If you're looking to paste rich content from Microsoft Word, try turning this option off. The editor will clean up text pasted from Word automatically. So let's explain how this works. If you go to another website and highlight a bunch of text and copy it, it's going to keep all the links and all the formatting when you paste it in here, unless you click this button and paste as text, and then it's going to scrub it all clean. So if you do want all the formatting and links from the other content, leave this off. If you want to clean it up, turn it on. Here we have a clear formatting button. You can highlight any text and hit this, and it will get rid of any bolds, underlines, strike-throughs, bullets, justification, all that stuff. Turn it into plain text. Here we have a special character option. So if your keyboard doesn't easily make any of these characters, you can simply click one and it will render it for you. And there it is. We can decrease indent or increase indent. And then we have undo and redo. This last option is for keyboard shortcuts. Most of them are pretty common. Command X for cut, Command A for select, all, etc. But if we do Control Alt and then a number, we get headings. If we do letters, we can get any number of options. Now here's another slick feature. You can start a bulleted list or a numbered list without hitting the buttons. Let's take a look at how to do that real quick. If you do an asterisk and then a space, it immediately starts a bulleted list. If you do a number and then a dot and then a space, it immediately starts a numbered list. You can do the same with these characters to create any of these. And then there are focus shortcuts to make your keyboard focus on any of these things. Now there are a couple more things I want to show you. In the top right here is a tab called Text, and you can switch between text and visual mode. Text mode will often show you the HTML involved in making what you see in visual. So the block quote has the block quote tag around it. The line has the horizontal rule. This is what a more tag looks like. NBSP stands for non-breaking space. So we hit enter a couple times, but there's nothing there. So it uses a space to show that it's there. While in text mode, you can use a subset of the toolbar. And then the last thing I want to show you is right here, distraction-free writing mode. If you click it, all the stuff on the side goes away, and you're simply writing. Now for inserting images, there's a button here called Add Media, and we're going to take a look at that in another video, because there are an awful lot of things you could do with images in this editor. The name of this editor is TinyMCE, and it's used in many other web applications. If you really want to know a whole lot more about it, you can Google it, and there are many pages of documentation about how to change it, tweak it, and become a real master of it. In this video, we're going to take a look at blog post categories. We're looking here at a post, and there's a side box called Categories. WordPress comes with one category called Uncategorized, and every post must be in at least one category. Now you can change categorized to something else like general or generic or something. Or you could just delete it and make sure you have other categories for your posts to be in. Right here in this widget, you can choose from most used, which is boring right now because there's only one, or you can add a new category right here. And you can keep adding categories. And you can have parent and child categories. So for example, you can have Paris be a child of travel. And then you can unchoose uncategorized. And there you are. Now in another video, we looked at archive pages for categories. Let's go see what that looks like now. So now we have Paris, travel, and uncategorized. Now I should see my post in both Paris and travel because it is actually in both. But under uncategorized, I should really only see my first post, and so it is. Now let's look at the more advanced manager for categories. In the left nav here, under posts, you can click on categories. So I clicked on categories, and it actually couldn't connect to my server right away, which gives me an opportunity to show you a little known feature of WordPress that's actually really great. It popped up an error here that says connection lost. Saving has been disabled until you're reconnected. We're backing up this post in your browser just in case. You may not realize it, but it's possible for websites to store information right in your browser. In the past, if you were typing along in a post and lost your connection and clicked update, if you were not online, you could lose your entire post, which was terrible. So WordPress used this feature, being able to store things in your browser, and it periodically checks to see if you're online. And I just came back online, and you can see that that error is gone now. If it determines that it's offline, it will make a backup of your post in your browser, so that if you click update and it looks like you lost it, you can come back and it will say, we have a previously saved version in your browser. Would you like us to load it? And you can say yes, and you'll get all your work back, which is wonderful. So my connection is back, and now I'm going to click categories again. And there we are. So this is the categories admin page. On the right here, you can see the categories that I have created. There's travel, and you can tell that Paris is a child of travel because it has this bar and it's indented a little bit. You can make a description, but we don't have one for any yet. Each one has a slug and a count of how many posts are in that. So I'm going to edit travel. We could make it a child of something, but we're not going to, and we'll give it a description. And update. Now it says here under the description that the description is not prominent by default. However, some themes may show it. Let's go back to categories, and you can see it here. And then let's view it in another tab. And you can see this is the category archive, category travel, and here's the description. This is a collection of all my travels. So if you decide to rely on categories, you can actually make a single category archive page look really sharp with a nice title and a good description. You can also quick edit and simply change its name or slug. And you could bulk delete, but we're not going to. If you want to make a new one from this page, the minimum you need to type in is its name. There, now we have London. Except I want to make London a child of travel. And there we are. Now it is. And we have no posts in London yet. That's really all there are to categories. Some people use categories heavily, and some people don't use them at all. How you choose to use them is entirely up to you. They can be used very elegantly and provide wonderful organization for your site. But if your posts aren't suited to categories, perhaps you don't want to use them. It's up to you. There are plugins to extend categories. You can add images to categories, so you can have a featured image for London, for example, and another one for Paris. You can associate colors with categories. But all of those things are added with plugins, and we'll look into that later. If you end up with a great many categories, there's an option up here in the top right to search. Under Screen Options, we can show what we want to see here and how many per page. In our next video, we'll take a look at tags, which are similar but subtly different. In this video, we're going to take a look at tags, which are similar to categories but different in a variety of ways. Over on the left, under Categories, under Posts, is the Tags interface. And this interface works exactly like the Categories one, so I'm not really going to go over it very deeply. The only difference is that you can't have a parent-child relationship with tags. But let's go edit a post. And right here is a tags area. So I'm going to give it a tag of Eiffel Tower. And there, it's just right there. And then you can click a little X to get rid of it if you don't want to. If you want to add more than one at a time, you could do arcd and click Add with a comma between them. And there we are. And you can choose from the most used tags, but none are found because I've not used any before. So let's click Update. And now if I choose from the most used tags, you can see that they're here, and I can just click on them. So for example, if I had a tag called Trains, then on every trip that I took the train, I could simply click Trains from my tags here. Now, let's go back to our tags interface, and you can see them here. Let's view. This is an archive page exactly like every other one. And here's the tag. So far they worked very much like categories. But once you start using them, you'll notice subtle differences. For example, trains isn't a very good category. If you're traveling, you may want to have your categories for travel divided by city or country or state. But then for tags, you can relate words that may not be in your post at all, but you still want them found by search. So you could do airplane or train or cab or pedicab or horseback or any of those things that don't necessarily make good categories, but you still want them found in a search. There's also something else you can do for rendering called a tag cloud. A tag cloud takes all your tags and mushes them together like these, and the most popular ones are larger. WordPress has a tag cloud widget built in, but there are also many, many plugins to render more beautiful tag clouds like these. Some people love tag clouds, some people really hate them. Some people use them, some people just like them for the art. That's entirely up to you. But you can't do this with categories, only tags. Some people use tags and categories interchangeably. Or perhaps they like categories, or perhaps they only like tags. Let's take another look at the interface for tags and categories. With categories, you can have parent-child relationships, and all your categories are just listed here, and you can just click them and unclick them. With tags, every post starts with none. And you can simply type in a whole bunch of tags, all at once with commas, or choose from the most common. Categories lets you see the most used as well, but it's a little different. How you use categories and/or tags is entirely up to you. You don't have to use both. You don't have to use either. You could use just one or the other. It doesn't matter at all. All that matters is that you're relatively consistent and that you use whatever you use well for organization so that people can find your content and browse it well. Google likes good organization as well. It makes it easy for their search engine to find your content and to categorize it properly. So whichever you choose to use, or both, practice with it a little, get good at it, and be consistent. In this video, we're going to take a look at how comments work in WordPress. A long-standing tradition in blogging is to allow comments on your posts so that the world at large can give feedback to what you've written. I'm looking at a post here, and at the bottom is a comments area. Now I'm logged in, so it knows who I am, so it doesn't ask for my name, email, etc. So I'm simply going to make a comment. And it appears immediately because I'm logged in, and it trusts me. The way comments appear varies based on theme. This particular theme says one thought on post title, and then it gives the gravatar, the poster, the date and time, an edit link because I'm logged in and it's mine, the comment, and then a reply button so that you can reply specifically to this comment. But what would this look like if I were not logged in? Let's open a private browser here. And in this one, I'm not logged in. You can see my first post. And now I can leave another one. It says required fields are marked with an asterisk. And here's my name. And I can post a comment. Now this one says your comment is awaiting moderation. So I can see it on this page because I posted it, but no one else can see it. So now let's go back to the admin area and see what we can do to manage these comments. If I reload this page while logged in, I don't see that second comment because it is not mine. Even though I'm the admin, I don't see it. So let's look at all the different places that we could manage comments. We're going to edit this post. So this is the normal post. And down here under discussion, you can see that there are some comments. And I could add a comment to this post directly from here. The yellow one is not approved. The white one is approved, so I could unapprove it. I could reply. I could quick edit, which gives me this. Or I could edit. I could mark it as spam, or I could trash it. On the left, we can see who wrote it, their email address, and their IP address. But now I'm going to leave this area and go somewhere else. I want to draw your attention to the WP admin bar. There's this little comment bubble and a number 1, and it says 1 comment awaiting moderation. And I could click that and it would take me to the comments page. But also in the left is a nav, which has comments and a little 1, which means 1 comment is awaiting moderation. So let's go there. Now we're looking at the comments management page for the entire site. You can see across the top here, we're looking at all, but we could look at only pending only approved, spam, or trash. We have the option to do bulk actions to unapprove, approve, mark as spam, or move to trash. So if you have a number of spam items, you can click these checkboxes and then bulk move them to spam. You can filter by comments or pings, and you can search your comments up here. On the right, you can see when it was submitted, and you can see the comment, the post, how many comments there are total, and how many are awaiting moderation. Now, if we click approve, we should be able to see that comment no matter who we are. So here's a post archive, and it says here there are 2 comments. If I click it, it should take me directly to the post and zip me right down to the comments. And now you can see that both comments are listed there. If you put a comment into spam, by default, that doesn't really do anything other than mark it as spam. However, there are many plugins that work with spam and can automatically move comments into spam for you. WordPress comes with Akismet, and you need to sign up for an account with Akismet, but you can get a free one for your personal blog. And Akismet can read through hundreds of posts at once, find all of the spam ones, and move them directly into spam. That can save you a lot of time, and if you have a problem with spam, I highly recommend you get a spam filter like Akismet. If we click Edit, we get the option to change the name, the email, the URL, and the comment. We can also mark it as approved, pending, or spam right here. We can trash it. We can edit when it was submitted, and then simply update it. If you delete a post that has comments, the comments automatically get deleted with it. So you don't have to go back through and either delete all the comments first or go through after and delete all the comments. Simply deleting a post will automatically take its comments with it. In this video, we're going to look at pages in WordPress and how they're different from posts. We're here at the dashboard, and in the nav on the left, there's a Pages menu item. And you can view all pages or click Add New. Let's look at all pages real quick. A fresh install of WordPress comes with a sample page. In the admin area, there's not a ton of difference between a page and a post. You can edit, quick edit, trash, or view. Under screen options, you can see author, comments, and date. And you can choose how many to show. Let's edit this one real quick. And we have a title, a URL with a nice simple slug made from the title. Here's the content area. And on the right, we have a publish box with all the same features as a post. Here we have a page attributes box, and the only thing that's in it is the order. You can order pages, and it's simply numerical, so pages 1 through 4 if you wish. And this can be used in rendering them if your theme needs it. If it doesn't, then this box is kind of useless. And you can have a featured image. Under screen options, you can see that we can optionally also have custom fields, discussion, comments, slug, and author. Now with all of those turned on, let's go down here, and there are the custom fields, comments, discussion, the slug, and the author, just like a post. And then if we view it, here it is, and there are the comments. So what is the difference between a page and a post? Quite simply, a post is an entry in a journal or log. The word blog is short for web log. So it's a log on the web, kind of like a captain's log or a journal. So posts are dated content in a series of dated posts. A page is not dated content. A page is intended to stand alone and have no relation to anything else, really. You won't find an archive page for pages, simply because They don't archive. As you can see, you can have comments on a page, but I'm not sure why you would. So for this one, I'm simply going to turn them off. There. Now let's load this page again. And you'll see there are no comments. So you would use a page on a blog for something like your About page, where there's some information about you or the author or the site or something. The content is going to be eternally relevant. It's not going to expire and can stand alone. You would use a page for your contact page with information about how people can contact you. Pages are simply one-off pages of information. Pages are often heavily used in sites that are not intended to be primarily blogs. So if you have a site for your restaurant, you'll have a page for location and a page for contact and a page for the menu and a home page and any number of other pages. Then in addition to that, you may have a blog for news. And the news is going to be date-relevant content that comes out on a regular basis, whereas your pages are just going to sit there and be the same until something changes on them. So when building your site or your blog, use pages to properly render information that you don't want to change very often, that needs to stay up front all the time, that needs to be easily accessible all the time, something you may put in a menu, whereas you wouldn't put a post in a menu. In this video, we're going to look at the media library built into WordPress. In the admin menu on the left is a media link, and there's library and add new. We'll start with library. In an earlier video, I uploaded a featured image, and so you can see I have one image here. If I click it, I get this information page. And in the top right, I can see the file name and type, when it was uploaded, size and dimensions. I can see its URL. I could give it a title, a caption, alternative text, a description, who it was uploaded by, and to what post it is attached. If you click Edit More Details, it takes you to this page where you can have a better interface for editing that same information on the previous page. And then you have the option to delete permanently. Over here under the image, there's an Edit Image link. And depending on what features are available on your server, you can do a number of things. There's a crop tool, which is not available on my server. There's a rotate, which is available, a flip, and then we have undo and redo. And then over here on the right, we could scale the image, which means resize it all together. We could crop the image, and we can decide to what images it applies. Now, right now, I'm looking at this grid view, but I could do a list view, which gives me a bunch of information about each image. I can choose to show only images, only audio, only video, or only things that are unattached to a post. I can view things by date, and I can search for things. I can add a new item to the library, either on the left here, at the top with Add New, or under New, Media. So let's click Add New. Now I can drag files right into this space and it will upload them. Or I can click Select Files. There's a maximum upload file size. Mine is 128 megabytes. This varies from server to server and can be as small as 1 megabyte, which is almost useless, and you would need to ask your server administrator to make it higher. So I'm going to select Files, choose this baby seal, and there's my seal. But you don't have to upload your media through the media library all the time. In fact, I rarely do. Let's go edit a post. I'm going to put an image right here. So I'm going to click Add Media, and I could upload, which you've already seen, so I won't. But I'm going to just click this. And on the right, I'm going to take out title, because title is actually fairly useless. And I'm going to put in baby seal. And then down here, you can align it left, center, right, or none. I'm going to leave it at none. You could choose to link to nothing, or link to the media file, which is the picture, the attachment page, which is a page which shows the image, or a custom URL. You could just put in anything like Google or something. I'm going to click media file, and then size. And now this is something really cool about WordPress. When you upload an image, it makes several sizes for you. Out of the box, it makes a thumbnail, a medium, a large, and then leaves full size. So I'm going to choose medium and insert into post. And there it is. I click update and view my post. And there it is. Now that's pretty small. So I'm going to click it, and I have the option right here to align it, edit it, or delete it. So I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to choose large, and I'm going to give it a caption. And click update. Now you can see I have a much bigger one, and there's a little caption there. Now how that caption appears on the front end depends on the theme. Some themes handle it well, some themes don't. Let's see how this one does. It simply puts it underneath. Some themes will wrap the picture in a div and put a colored border around it with the caption underneath of it. This one simply prints it underneath. You can also go to advanced options, give it a title attribute. You could give it a CSS class. You could make the link open in a new tab. You can change the link relationship, and you can give the link a CSS class. This would allow you to give a custom CSS class to just this image to make just this one look different from all of your other images. Now, in addition to the Add Media section, you can use the featured image, which we looked at in another video. It works almost exactly the same, except instead of dropping the image into your post, it just associates it. Once an item is in the media library, it's actually accessible from just about anywhere. Pages, posts, the media library itself, custom post types, any of that. If you don't use the media library directly, you may not think about the fact that as you upload images one by one in your posts every day, you're actually compiling a library of media that you can choose to access from just about anywhere and dress up any number of your pages and posts. In future videos, we'll take a look at several other things that can be done with the media library. In this video, we're going to take a look at photo galleries, specifically the galleries that are built into WordPress. There are many plugins which provide galleries, but WordPress has a nice gallery function built in. Let's start a new post. And then we're going to put our gallery right into the content area. So I'm going to click Add Media, and I'm going to use these two photos, but I'm also going to use some others. So first let's click Create Gallery. And now I'm going to click Upload Files. And I'm going to upload all 4 of these files. There. Now we can see all the images in our media gallery, but only these 4 have checks. But I'm going to put in these as well. So now they all have checks, so they're all going to end up in my gallery. So now, down on the bottom right, I'm going to click Create New Gallery. So here's our gallery and the order in which the images will appear. And here at the top it says drag and drop to reorder media files. So I'm going to switch those. And you can caption images. There, now they all have captions. I'm going to have each image linked to the media file. And I can choose how many columns. I'm going to leave it at 3. I can choose random order, which means they'll move around every time you reload. I don't want that. And I can choose size. I'm going to leave it at thumbnail, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like. So now I click Insert Gallery. And here I have a gallery. If I click on it somewhere, I can get a pencil and come back and change this stuff. There's also a button here to reverse order. So update gallery, and I'm going to choose gallery from my format type and hit publish. And now let's go look at it and see what it looks like. There we are. If I click, I get the full-sized one. Now, if I edit and change my columns to 4 and update gallery, and now I can reload, I get smaller thumbnails. So as you're building your gallery, think about the number of images you have and what the most pleasing number of columns would be. Now something I want to show you is if we click the Text tab, this is actually simply a shortcode. And you can change the number of columns here. And the IDs are just the IDs of the image. And now let's reload again. So now let's change image size. We'll go back to 3 columns and we'll go with medium. Now, because we're not using thumbnails, which are cropped to be square, the images are not square. They look like this. On the other hand, you can see the entire image. So these are still small, but before you can only see a square. Now there are some plugins you can get to make galleries look much more beautiful, specifically the plugins included in Jetpack. They can make the images tile the way Pinterest does, and so they all fit together in a nice grid, but the images are all different sizes. That's about it for the built-in functionality of a gallery. As I mentioned, plugins can extend these tremendously. There's all kinds of things you can do. But if you're just looking for a simple way to throw images together in a gallery, this is it. In this video, we're going to take a look at other kinds of galleries we can make besides images. WordPress can handle audio and video just fine. Let's take a look at how that works. I'm going to make a new post. So first we're going to work with audio. And right here I'm going to click Add Media. We'll go to Upload Files and select, and I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to choose one MP3 and upload it, and there it is. And WordPress is smart enough to read the metadata inside the MP3 and fill out the title, artist, album, and description. And you can choose to embed a media player, link to the media file, or link to the attachment page. We're going to embed a media player. And there it is. And just for fun, I'm going to choose audio under format and hit publish. Now let's view this post. And I hit play. And it's playing music. This is a guy playing violin, and I heard him playing in the middle of the Minneapolis airport. But let's look at what else we can do with audio files. Oh, if we click text, you can see it's again just a shortcode with the path to the MP3. We'll talk about shortcodes in another video. But I go to Add Media, and I can create an audio playlist now that I have at least one. But I'm going to upload more files. And choose number 1. They're currently out of order, but we'll be able to reorder them in a minute. Now I'm going to create new playlist, and you can see it has the titles right there, and I can reorder them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can choose to show the track list, show the artist name in track list, and optionally show images. So I'm going to insert audio playlist. And we'll get rid of this one. And we'll hit update. And then we'll go reload our page. And now there's only one player with a list of the songs, and we can click to choose our song. And if I had an image for this gallery, it would show it right here. If we go back, we can click it and choose Edit and choose to not show images. And it just doesn't show right there. And if we choose not to show any of this, it looks like this. And then when it gets to the end, it skips to the next song. So that's an audio gallery. I'm going to turn the track list back on. There. Now I have my track list back. But we can do the same thing with videos. Let's go to Add New. My videos. I click Add Media, Upload Files. And there. Now I have a file uploaded. Now I made this with my phone, so it doesn't have any extra information. But I'm going to title it Great Wolf Lodge. And I can embed the media player or link to the media file or the attachment page. We'll embed a media player. And it looks like that. We'll call it video. And now, let's take a look at that page and see what it looks like. And there it is. It's very short. But that's the water park at the Great Wolf Lodge. Now let's see what it looks like when we make a video gallery. So we're going to delete this one. We go to Add Media. And now, because we have video, there's a Create Video playlist. And I'm going to upload a second video. And this is Big Buck Bunny, which is a great video. You should watch it. There. Now I have two. And I could drag them around in reverse order. And I can show video list and show images. So I'm going to insert video list. And there it is. So if I click update, let's see what our page looks like. So now I click play. And there's Big Buck Bunny. Or I could skip to the Great Wolf Lodge, which is really loud. Now this can also go full screen, this player. So it's possible to have full screen video served from your page. So there we have it. Both audio and video playlists that look very nice and work very well without any plugins or add-ons or messing with JavaScript or anything like that. In this video, we're going to talk about embedding multimedia from other sites directly into your own posts and pages. WordPress uses a technology called O-embed to do this. And all you really need to do is paste a URL from an acceptable site into your post, and it will magically embed that multimedia. The easiest way to explain it is to simply show you. So I'm going to create a new post called Embeds. And I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to grab the URL of a video. So just the regular address right out of the browser. And I'm going to paste it right there. And just like that, you see the video. There was no editing magic here. I didn't stop the camera and make the video appear. It just appeared. So now if I hit publish and go view that page, here's my post with YouTube.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, mail, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it.
But YouTube is not the only service that this works with. If you go to the WordPress codex, and I got to this page simply by searching for WordPress embeds, here's a list of all the services that works with. Flickr, Hulu, Imgur, Mixcloud, PhotoBucket, PoleDaddy, SmugMug, SoundCloud, all of these work. Twitter works. Here's a Flickr page. I'm just going to grab that URL, and right below YouTube, I'm going to paste it. And suddenly, I have a photo. I click Update and reload. And there's the photo. Let's go get a tweet real quick. I actually tweeted about that picture of my daughter just a moment ago. So I click here and I copy link to tweet. Now I come back, and right below this picture, I'm simply going to paste the URL of that tweet. And there we are. Now I hit update. And there's the tweet. Now something that's particularly cool about embedded tweets is all of these widgets work. So you can favorite or retweet or reply, view on web, follow, all of those things right from this tweet on this page. If you click the image, it goes to the photo on Flickr because that is the link in the tweet. So check out this list of things that can auto-embed like that. If there are any that you use, keep in mind that it's going to be very easy to mix that content from those sites into your blog. In this video, we're going to take a look at WordPress themes and how they work. We're looking at the 2016 theme right now. It has a very simple header. It puts post titles off to the left and the post meta to the left of the content, and has a nice sidebar. If you click on a single post, like this one, then we can see there's a nice place for comments down at the bottom. But how do we change our theme? Well, in the WordPress admin area, under Appearance, Themes, you'll find a list of all the themes that are currently installed. And you can see here in the top left that 2016 is active. We also have 2015, 14, 13, and 12 installed. Now with themes that you have installed, all you have to do is click Activate. And now 2015 is the active theme. And if we reload our website, you'll be able to see how it looks different. The header's on the left, the sidebar's on the left, and the side stops scrolling after it gets to the bottom. You can also do a live preview, and you can see what your site is going to look like with your own content before you activate the theme. Then, while you're here, you can choose to customize your site. Watch the title up here as I change this content. So with the customizer, you can do all kinds of things to your site before making it live and see what it's going to look like. But how do we get new themes? There's a couple of ways. There's a great big button here, which makes it easy. But before we do the easy way, I want to show you the hard way. And I hope you never have to do the hard way, but I think you should know. This is WordPress.org, where they list many themes. And here's the zoo theme. And I'm going to click Download. And I'm going to put it right on my desktop. And there you can see it. Now in this window here, I have the ostraining.dev website file structure. So this is all of WordPress right here. And right within WP Content, there's a folder called Themes. And it's just a folder full of themes. So we're going to unpack the zoo theme. And you see now we have a folder called Zoo. And I'm going to drag it here. And now I'm going to reload my theme page. And there it is. The theme is on our site available. It's not active yet, but it's available. Let's click Activate and see what we get. There we are. It doesn't look quite right because we would need to do some configuration. But that's all it took to install that, the hard way. Let's go back to 2016. Let's say I don't want Zoo anymore. I can go to Theme Details, and on the bottom right is Delete. And now it's gone. Now let's look at installing a theme the easy way. You can either click Add New, or click the great big Add New. They're both the same. Let's click this one. Now this should look very similar to this because it's the same content. We can see here that we have this one already installed, but we can go down and pick a theme. Let's try Photographer. We can do Details and Preview. We're not previewing our own site, we're previewing their demo. And it doesn't look quite like they have it, but again, we would need some configuration. But let's just click Install. And now it's installed on our site. And we can live preview it, activate it, or return to the theme installer. I'm just going to hit Activate. And now let's see what this looks like. And there we are. Still kind of ugly, but I haven't done any config yet. So I give it grace. So you can see how easy it is to install a theme, try it out, customize it, mess with it, and then delete it if you don't like it. I don't like photographer very much. So, theme details, delete. You should actually delete any theme you're not using, because while the code isn't being used, it can be run, and if there's a security hole in it, it can be exploited, even if the theme is not active. And if you have a theme that you're not using, it's more likely to sit there for a long period of time and have you miss any security announcements that come out. So if you're not using a theme, go ahead and delete it so that you only have one theme and it's the active one. Or if you want to have one for backup, which is occasionally wise, use one of the ones made by Automatic, like one of the 2016 for example. In our next videos, we're going to take a look at how to find good themes and how to know if a theme is good or not. In this video, we're going to talk about how to identify a quality theme and differentiate it from one that is of low quality, one that you should not use. There are a variety of criteria. And the number one that I always look at is whether or not the theme includes functionality. Themes should be about design, about the look and feel of your site, about colors and font sizes and locations of content on the page. They should never deal with the content itself. Let me show you an example of what I consider content. I've installed a plugin called WooCommerce, which is for e-commerce, and it has a content type called products. In here, you can create products for your store. There are themes that claim to be an all-in-one e-commerce solution. Just install this theme and you can do e-commerce. The problem with that is that when you want to redesign your site and you get a new theme, all of your products go away. All of your work is gone. Whereas if you use a plugin like WooCommerce or Easy Digital Downloads or WP e-commerce or any of those others, then you can change themes all you wish. The same goes for portfolio themes. It's very common to find a portfolio theme that says, just install this theme and we will give you the most beautiful site to show your pictures. And they'll have a custom content type like products, but it'll be called photos. And you put all your photos in there and it'll look beautiful. And then 2 years from now, you want to change your theme, all your photos are gone. Instead, you should find a portfolio plugin that works with any theme. And then, when you change themes, you keep all of your hard work. You also want to get your themes from a reputable location. We're going to look into that more in another video. But a strong word of advice, never simply search for free WordPress themes on Google and download what you find. Almost always, there's malware inside. Let me show you. Now the top result here is actually WordPress.org, which is great. That's a good place. But if you come down here, you'll start finding some other themes that aren't so reputable. Many of the themes that you find just searching for free WordPress theme have code in the bottom that lets them track you or lets them serve malware to your visitors, and you will never know. So be sure to watch our next video where we talk about how to get themes from the proper place. Now there are some themes that add functionality related to your design, which is fine. That's great. For example, there's a great theme called Make. It's right here. It's free. I'm going to install it and activate it. And now I'm going to create a new page, and I'll show you what I mean. So right here they have a page builder. So within my page, I can have columns or a banner or a gallery. Now you can get the plus version and it adds even more functionality. But the reason this is an okay thing is that if you change themes and get rid of this, your content still looks okay. It doesn't break, it doesn't disappear, it degrades gracefully. So for example, if you have 3 columns and you turn off make, you get 3 rows instead of columns. If you choose a banner, you keep your banner. It's still there. If you choose a gallery, then you keep your gallery. So while make adds a little functionality, it's directly related to the design and degrades gracefully when you turn it off. So I have 2 major takeaways from this video for you. 1, avoid themes that add functionality. Look for themes that only relate to design. And 2, make sure you get them from a reputable location. If you find a theme that you like that costs money, and you find somebody else giving it away for free, don't take the free one. The only reason they're offering it for free is that they hid bad things inside, and it's a trap. So follow me to the next video, and I'll show you where to get good themes. In this video, we're going to talk about where to get good themes. And I want to clarify that good means works well and does not have malware in it. I'm not going to talk about art and design. Art is in the eye of the beholder, and I've seen some good themes that are well written that are really quite ugly. And I'm sure that I've made things that other people think are quite ugly. So we're going to talk about themes that will work well and do a good job showing your content. The very best place to get free themes is from wordpress.org. We're looking here at wordpress.org, and in the top left is the themes menu. The first page we see is featured, and there are 24 featured themes. You can see these thumbnails. If you hover, you can click More Info, and you can see when it was last updated, which can be important. If it hasn't been updated for a year or 2 or 3, then it probably isn't up to modern standards. You can see how many active installs there are, which can show popularity. You can look at theme ratings. This one hasn't been rated yet. You can look to see what languages it's been translated to. Under tags, you can look and see what it supports. And then you can see downloads per day. There's also a link to the theme homepage. The author maintains their own page for it. Often this page can be a better demonstration of the layout than the preview. There's also popular, and these are popular by install. Here's a responsive theme, customizer theme, and a variety of other themes. Then there's also the latest, which is simply the ones uploaded most recently. And then there's a feature filter. And you can filter by color and layout and feature and subject. That'll help you narrow down your search. And if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can simply type it in here. And there's make, along with every other theme with the word make in its title. In order to get listed on this page, your theme must go through a rigorous examination. There are teams of people who look through these themes and make sure that there aren't security holes, there's no malware, that it reasonably follows modern coding standards, and generally isn't going to hurt your site. You may not like the theme. You may install it and find out that it doesn't do at all what you thought it did. But it's not going to hurt your site, and you should be able to get rid of it and go back to something else without any problems. So for that reason, I recommend WordPress.org as the best place to get free themes. Now there are also commercial themes, and there's a link right here to the commercial theme sellers that WordPress.org recommends. And there are quite a few. Some of these I'm familiar with and some I am not. I particularly like the Theme Foundry. But each of these sites sells themes. Now, why would you buy a theme when you can get a free one? There are several reasons. One is that someone who wants to sell a theme is going to put more work into that theme to make it work better, smoother. There probably also will be good documentation, where there might not be with a free theme. Also, if you buy a theme, it almost always comes with support. And if you can't figure out how to make it work, you can contact the theme developer, and they will help you. With a free theme, you can still contact the theme developer, and they will often help you, but they're not obligated to. If you buy a theme, and it comes with support for your money, then they're obligated to help you. And there's a good sense of security in that. Every organization on this page has been examined by the folks at WordPress.org and found to be above board. They're not going to rip you off. They're not selling dodgy themes. Now, there are other places to get commercial themes. There are marketplaces like CodeCanyon. CodeCanyon sells many things, but right here is WP Themes. And it says they have just over 6,000 themes available for sale. And the prices can range from almost nothing to hundreds of dollars. But as you can see, the average is $40 or $50 or $60. These days, the themes on CodeCanyon also face a pretty rigorous examination. But older themes on CodeCanyon did not face that same examination. And so there are themes on CodeCanyon which are not coded well and don't follow best practices. So you want to examine the theme carefully, and you want to look at how it works, who makes it, what kind of support is offered, and things like that. There are some really excellent themes at CodeCanyon, but there are also some that are really not so great. I'd like to point out that the themes section of CodeCanyon is actually called Theme Forest. There are other good marketplaces out there. I don't know them all. You'll want to look at each one, and you'll want to ask around and find out reputation, because there are also some terrible theme marketplaces as well. And something that's very important I want to point out is that if you find a theme that you like that costs money, and you find someone else offering that exact same theme for free, don't take it. It's almost certainly a trap. The kinds of people who do that want to load some extra code into that free theme that can do bad things to your visitors or to your server. So if you want a commercial theme, pay the money for it. Don't find a free version somewhere and use that. So to sum up, the best place to get free ones is WordPress.org. If you're looking for a commercial theme, check out their commercial library here. Each of these offers several themes for sale. This isn't a single theme per icon. And then also you can look at reputable theme marketplaces. A commercial theme is not automatically better than a free theme. There are many free themes that are much, much better than some commercial themes. Most of the time what you're buying when you pay for a theme is support. You're not buying the code, you're buying their promise to help you if you get stuck. So check out WordPress.org and check out some of the reputable theme marketplaces. In this video, we're going to take a look at how you can customize the look and feel of your theme without having to know any code. WordPress comes with a tool called the Customizer. And once you're logged in the admin bar, there's a link that says Customize. So let's click it. Now we're looking at our site on the right, and we have this special bar on the left. We could change our theme entirely right here, but we can do things like change our title, and you can see it happen in real time. There, now it's not just another WordPress site. And I can choose to display that all together or not. Down here we can choose a site icon, which is the little icon that lives right up here in the address bar. We can also change a color scheme. We can choose a base color scheme. We can add a header image. Let's do John. There, now I have a header image. And I could upload several headers and have them randomized. I can set a background image for my site. I'm not going to right now, so I think it would look bad. I could manage my menus, which we'll look at in another video. And my widgets, which are over here. So for example, if I want search under recent posts, I just drag it down there. And there it is. Or I can put it back. Now, none of the things that I have done are actually visible on the front of the site yet. This is just for me. I could choose to have my homepage be a static page or my latest posts. And now I could hit save and publish, and then it would do all of this stuff for real. Or I can simply hit the X and say leave page, and everything's back to normal. Now, the customizer has different features based on what theme you're using. Not every theme supports a header image or color themes. And some themes support more things. Let's switch to Make. Now you'll note that I don't have a sidebar at all over here. And so I can go to Layout and say that on Archives, which is what this homepage is right now, I can show a left sidebar. Now because my screen is kind of narrow, it put it down below. If I choose the blog, the posts page, which is my homepage right now, I can turn off the right sidebar. And now I have no sidebar, and so my content is full width. But then I can turn on the left sidebar. And now I have one. I can turn off the site header, and I can do the same with the site footer. I can have featured images in special locations. I can set how my dates are displayed. I can say where the dates should be displayed. I can do all kinds of things with authors. I can generate excerpts automatically. I can show categories and tags. I can choose to show comment counts or not. There are all kinds of things that I can do here. I can set my site to be full width or boxed so that it is not the full width of the browser. That's all just in Layout. If you pay for Make, you can choose Style Kits. There's a typography section where you can choose the fonts for all the parts of each kind of page. You can also choose Google Fonts. So as you can see, there are a great many things that can be done with a customizer. Not every theme does them, and some themes have more features than others in the customizer. Now some people don't even like the customizer and they choose not to use it. That's entirely up to you. Themes that make heavy use of the customizer usually allow you to make your theme look different from everyone else's, even if you're using the same theme that everyone else is. And that can be pretty slick. For example, this is Make with the left sidebar, and it's kind of white, but my own blog uses Make. And it looks like this, with a wood grain background, a nice banner at the top, on a right sidebar, and things like that. So if you're looking to make your site look different from other people's, make sure you check out the customizer and see what options are available for you there. In this video, we're going to talk about a feature in WordPress called widgets. On my page here, I have a sidebar, and I have a search tool, recent posts, recent comments, archives, categories, and meta. Each of these things is called a widget. And this area has traditionally been called a sidebar because it's on the side and it looks like a bar. In actuality, you could take what is called a sidebar and put it in the footer horizontally and put widgets in it. Or you could put it in the header, or you could put it anywhere else you want. And so it's becoming more common to simply call it a widget area rather than a sidebar. But you'll still see the word sidebar very commonly. Let's take a look at how to manage those. In the admin area, under Appearance, there's Widgets. I'm using the 2016 theme, and it comes with 3 widget areas, one called Sidebar, which makes sense because this one is in the side, and then Content Bottom 1 and Content Bottom 2, both of which are empty. Now I can reorder my widgets simply by dragging them. I didn't have to press save, I didn't have to do anything, I simply dragged it. And now search is down here. Also, many widgets come with options. Recent posts, I can choose to show how many and whether or not to show the post date. And I can change the title. And now you can see really recent posts, and there's the date. WordPress comes with quite a few widgets that aren't automatically put into a sidebar. There's an RSS widget, so you can pull in an RSS feed from another site. There's a plain old text widget, and you can type anything you want in there. Let's take a look at what it would look like to put a calendar in Content Bottom 1. Note that it says it appears at the bottom of the content on posts and pages, not an archive page like my home page. So I'm going to click Embeds and go to the single page, and there's a calendar. Now it's full width because I'm only using the one content area. So now let's put archives in Content Bottom 2. And reload. And now each one is half as wide. And then you can actually stack them vertically. We have plenty of room under archives, for example, pages. And there we are. Now you can also manage widgets via the customizer. And you can drag them around like this and see them move automatically. You can remove widgets by clicking remove, and now there's no meta at the bottom. And then you can add a widget just like this. We'll put meta back at the bottom. And there, meta is back. And we save and publish. Now, you can get more widgets in a variety of ways. In another video, I installed a plugin called WooCommerce for e-commerce, and it comes with a great many widgets. There's the cart, a price filter, and all kinds of things like that. But you can also find widgets by looking through the plugins directory on WordPress.org, and we'll look at that in another video. When you're thinking about what widgets to put on your site, make sure that you think about your readers and not yourself. It can be very easy to put gadgets on your site, things that distract from your content, and on their own are really quite interesting, but they don't lend to your content. They're not adding to your site. They're distracting from your site, and they're pulling readers away from your primary content. On the other hand, properly used widgets can make it easier to use, easier to find, and more pleasant to read. So while it's very, very easy to add and remove widgets from your website, make sure that you're adding and removing the proper widgets. Think about the content as opposed to the Neato effect. In this video, we're going to talk about how to put navigation on your website. Here's my site right now, and it has a number of pages, but you don't really have any way to get to those pages. So we want to put site navigation on it. On your dashboard, under Appearance, there's Menus. And on this page, we can create menus. There are none right now, so I'm going to create one called Main Menu. There. Now I have one, but there's nothing in it. On the left here, I can choose from Pages, Posts, Custom Links, and Categories. Let's add my About page and my Contact page to my menu. There they are. Now they're not actually saved yet. They appear like they're in my menu, but I need to click Save Menu. And now it's saved. Now I want my About page to come before my Contact page, so I can simply grab it and drag it. And then if I click this little down arrow, I can change its title if I want. By default, the title is the title of the page itself, but you can override that right within your own menu. Now let's say I also want a home link, but home is not a page, it's an archive. So I'm going to go to Custom Links, and I'm simply going to put in a slash, which means the top of my website, and I'm going to call it Home. And then I'm going to drag it right up to the top. And now I click Save Menu. Now there's one more step, and I want to show you why. I'm going to reload my home page, and you'll see that I still have no navigation. Because while I created a menu, I didn't say where I wanted it. This brings us to Theme Locations. Themes can come with a variety of locations. This theme, 2016, comes with two, a Social Links menu and a Primary menu. So I'm going to make my main menu primary simply by clicking that link. And I save and reload. And now over here on the right, I have my menu. Now let's also, just for fun, make it the Social Links menu. So now let's reload. And I don't see it here. Let's go to the bottom. And here we have a collection of icons. And if you look in the bottom left, you can see the address change as I mouse over them. They're just normal links. They're intended to be social icons. So I'm going to turn it off here and save menu. Then I'm going to create a new menu called Footer Social. And I'm going to go to Custom Links, and I'm going to put in twitter.com/Topher1Kenobi. Call it Twitter. And I'll put in flickr.com/photos/Topher1Kenobi. And add to menu. Now I'm going to choose Social Links menu and click Save Menu. And we'll reload again. And now, this theme was smart enough to figure out that links to twitter.com should have the Twitter icon, and links to Flickr should have the Flickr icon. Not all themes are going to be that smart, but this one is. Now let's make a third menu. Called My Favorite Sites. I like Google. I like Slashdot. And I like my own site. Now I click Save Menu. Now I don't want it in any of the positions automatically given, So instead, I'm going to go to Widgets, and here's a custom menu widget. I'm going to put it right at the top and call it My Favorite Sites. And then I can choose from my existing menus. And then I reload my site. And we zip back up to the top, and here's a widget with my menu in it. So this makes it very, very easy to create lists of pages or sites or anything you wish in your sidebar. Some themes will come with more or fewer nav positions than this one. Some come with many of them. Your menus will not come and go when you change themes. They may lose position if you change to a theme that doesn't have a position called primary menu or doesn't have a social links menu, and you might need to reassign them and position them properly again. But your menus themselves will remain here, so you don't need to worry about losing your work. Now there's one more cool feature I wish to show you. If we go to Main Menu to edit it, now if I take Contact and I drag it slightly to the right, you'll see that now it's indented. Now it is a child of About. And I'm going to click Save Menu and reload this page. Now About has a little drop down, and Contact is a drop down menu. And all I had to do to make that is drag it in. Now not all themes are going to make drop down menus out of child menu items. They might render them in a bar underneath or in any other way they choose. There isn't truly a relationship between what I did here and how it's rendered here. That is entirely at the discretion of the theme developer. So you may build a complicated menu full of child items and load up a certain theme that perhaps ignores child items and you'll just not see them. They'll still be available in your menu because they don't get deleted when you change themes. But some themes choose not to show child items. So keep that in mind as you're building your menu structure and the theme that you're using. Two last things I wish to show you. There's an option here to auto add pages, to automatically add new top-level pages to this menu. So as you add a new page, it magically appears in your menu. I don't recommend this unless you know you're not going to add very many pages. Otherwise, your nav could get wildly out of control. The other thing I want to show you is that there's a tab here called Manage Locations. Now this allows you to choose which menu goes under Primary in Social Links menu. This is essentially the exact same functionality as those checkboxes earlier. This is just a different user interface. And from here you can choose to edit the main menu or create a new menu to go in this position. Creating menus is much easier than creating good menus. Your navigation can be absolutely key to your site. Think carefully about how you build it and where you put it and how useful it is. Just because you can put everything in your nav doesn't mean that you should. In this video, we're going to take a look at some common forms plugins. These are plugins that allow you to put forms on your website for your contact page, or for purchasing something, or for signing up for an event, or basically anything you want. We're going to look at a variety of them with different feature sets, and some with cost and some without cost. The first one we're going to look at is called Contact Form 7. You can see it here on WordPress.org. And there are a few things I want to point out here that you should look at on every plugin you ever install. Over on the right, there's a section that starts with Requires, WordPress 4.2 or higher. Compatible up to 4.4.1. Now this is the latest version. So as long as you're on the latest version, you're probably almost always going to be fine. If you're on something older than 4.2, this plugin simply isn't going to work. This plugin was last updated 2 months ago, That's pretty good. If you find a plugin that was updated more than a year ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, then it probably isn't up to snuff and you probably shouldn't use it. But 2 months ago is really quite good. Additionally, Contact Form 7 has more than 1 million installs. That means it's extraordinarily popular. At the top of the page here is a frequently asked questions section. There's a screenshots section and a changelog to show you what's new. There's also a support section if you have questions. This is a free plugin and the author is not obligated to respond to you, but he does do a pretty good job. So let's go to our WordPress admin area and click Add New. Now from here you can click More Details and basically see that exact same information in here. There's a version number, last updated, who the author is, etc. So I'm going to click Install Now. And we'll activate the plugin. So now on the left I have a section called Contact. And here's Contact Forms. There's a section at the top here about how to use it, how to make it work, and a donate button because this plugin is free. But I'm going to click Dismiss. And it comes with one form built in. Let's edit this form. And this is the form builder. As you can see, there's kind of a mix of HTML and short codes with brackets around them and things like that. But there are buttons to help you make these. This form asks for your name and puts in a text field called your-name. Then email, subject, and message, and a send button. Now if you wanted to put in a phone number, you could simply click Tell. You can leave the name the way it is. You can choose to make it required. And insert tag. And now there's a field for a telephone, but it doesn't say anything else around it. So we need to put in a little HTML. And then you can click Save here. But what happens when we submit this form? We go to the Mail tab, and here's where we decide where this email is going to go. This is how it gets formatted. And here are some messages that get sent to the end user. And then we have some additional settings. I'll show you how to put this on a page. Earlier I made a contact page, so let's go to Pages. I will edit it, and I'm simply going to paste that shortcode right there. Click Update. And now let's go view that page. And there's my form. Now some of these fields are required, so if I click Send, it says validation errors occurred. And we come back up and it tells us what happened. All in all, Contact Form 7 is a very simple form plugin. It's not the easiest to use, but it pretty much always works. But let's take a look at some other options. I'm going to go back to Plugins and deactivate it. Another option here is called Caldera Forms. To create forms with Caldera, you use drag and drop, which makes it a lot easier. Also, they have their own site where they offer support and you can buy add-ons. Caldera Forms Basic is free, but you can add a Stripe add-on, which allows you to sell things through your form. There's also excellent documentation here. We're also going to take a look at Ninja Forms, which is very similar. It also has a drag and drop interface. It also has its own page with excellent documentation and some add-ons that you can buy. So let's go take a look at both of those real quick. And here it is. It says last updated 1 week ago. So I'm going to click Install Now and activate. And now over here we have Caldera Forms. It says we don't have any, but we can click New Form, give it a name, and then for template we can choose a starter contact form, variable pricing form, and a registration form. I'm going to choose starter contact. And there it is. And it says we can add elements by dragging the add element box down below. So right now we have an HTML block that says let us know how to get back to you. First name, last name, email address, another HTML block, and a comments block and a submit button. So let's add a telephone number. I'm going to drag this right here. And I can choose any of these kinds of elements. Basic, button, content, feedback. Let's do a text field. And they offer a phone number. Set element. And we'll call this one phone number. And as you can see, we have lots of options here. We can choose local or international or custom. Now I'm going to drag phone number over here under email address. And just for fun, I'm going to click Update Form. Oh, I have an extra element here. Click Delete Element. There we go. And now we update form. Updated successfully. So now let's go back to our contact page. I'm going to take out the contact form 7 one, and I'm going to click right here. There's a Caldera Form button. And I add my contact button, and I click Insert Form. And there it is, and it renders right in here, and it's beautiful. I click Update, and View, and there it is. Nice layout and everything. And you can set up the mailer so you know where it's going. You can make it responsive. You can add some variables. You can add an autoresponder or redirect or an incremental value on a form. All kinds of things. But let's also look at Ninja Forms. So I'm going to deactivate Caldera Forms and click Add New and go to Ninja Forms. Last updated 1 month ago. And I click Install Now and Activate Plugin. And here we have this nice welcome page with information about how to use this. On the left we have a Forms section, and I'm going to click Add New. So I have a form here with nothing on it. So I can choose normal form fields, or I can come down here and choose first name, and leave all the defaults. Last name, leave the defaults. Email, I would like a text area, which I will call comments. Then I'm going to need a submit button, which is right here. And I hit save. Call it contact. There we are. Now I have this form. I can go to emails and actions and decide where it's going to go when I submit it. It's going to be email, the email it's going to be from, who it's going to be to, the subject line, and the email message. Now right now the email message is empty, but you can say insert all fields, and just like that, your email is going to have everything in it. So let's go back to our contact page. I'm going to hit reload real quick. And my Caldera form shortcode isn't going to work anymore because it's not active. But now Ninja Forms has an add form button. And I choose one, click insert, update, and now when I reload my page, there's my form. Nice and simple. Now, the last one we're going to look at is kind of the gorilla in the room, and it's called Gravity Forms. Gravity Forms is not free, but it is extraordinarily powerful, and by far the most common Forms plugin. It comes with excellent support and has many, many add-ons. There's a demo here you can try. The username and password are demo. And there's a link right here to log into the demo. And on the left, we have a Forms item. We'll click New Form. We can't actually create new forms in the demo, but there's a simple contact form we can examine. Let's edit. So here's first and last, email, and a comments box. There's a section over here for standard fields, but then there are advanced fields. If we clicked phone, it would make a phone field, and we could configure that. And each form has its own settings. So let's sum up. We looked at 4 different contact plugins. Contact Form 7, which is the simplest, Caldera Forms, Ninja Forms, and Gravity Forms. Caldera and Ninja are a little more user-friendly than Contact Form 7, and are still free, and have some add-ons that you can buy. Gravity Forms is possibly one of the most friendly Forms plugins out there, but it's not free. It is extraordinarily powerful and can do a great many things. So when you're ready to put forms on your website, feel free to take a look at all of these. Figure out which one you like and which one works for you. They all do what they're supposed to do. You just need to figure out which one is most comfortable for you. In this video, we're going to take a look at some e-commerce options for WordPress. E-commerce is extremely popular in WordPress because there are some excellent plugins to make it work very well. The first one we're going to look at is called WooCommerce. WooCommerce is the most used e-commerce platform for WordPress. It has a great many add-ons and is extremely flexible. The base plugin is free, and you can get it from wordpress.org, or you can download it here. You have the option to buy some excellent support if the free model doesn't work for you. And as I mentioned, there are an enormous number of add-ons to make it do just about anything you want, and it can work with just about any currency in the world. It can sell both physical products and digital products, and has many options for shipping. The next one we're going to take a look at is called Easy Digital Downloads. Because it was built for selling digital products, it excels at selling those digital products. On the other hand, it's not very good at all for selling physical products, like regular books. Again, the base plugin is free and is available on wordpress.org. It also comes with excellent support and an enormous number of plugins to make it do anything you want. It works with many currencies throughout the world, and because the products are all digital, shipping is really not an issue. The next one we're going to look at is WP e-commerce. WP e-commerce has been around the longest of all the e-commerce plugins we're looking at here. It's had its ups and downs over the years, but is currently an excellent option. With this one also, the base plugin is free, and you can get it from wordpress.org. And then they sell add-ons and support. The support is excellent, and the add-ons are very flexible. The last one I'm going to show you is called iThemes Exchange. This is the only one that does not have a free base plugin. On the other hand, it's probably the simplest to use of all of them. Its philosophy is very few moving parts with a big red button kind of attitude about just making it work. It's not quite as flexible as some of the others, but if it does what you need, it's probably the easiest way to get out the door. All of these options are good options. They all help you sell things. They all try very, very hard to make it as easy as possible for you to get set up and start selling your products and getting money into your bank account as quickly and easily as possible. I'm not going to recommend any one over the other, although I don't recommend EDD for physical products, simply because it wasn't made for that. Since the first three are free to try, I recommend you try them all. And if you can afford to be wrong about Exchange, and there is a refund policy for iThemes Exchange if you don't like it, you can try that one too. Find out which one you like, which one works for you. Submit a support ticket on each of them and see what the response is like. See if it's fast enough for your taste, or if you like dealing with the people that you talk to. As I said, any one of them is a good option. So pick which one works for you. In this video, we're going to talk about a plugin called Jetpack. I call Jetpack a meta plugin because what it is a collection of other plugins. And what's interesting about them is that many of them require a connection to WordPress.com, so you must have an account there. Your blog doesn't need to be there, but Jetpack uses the servers at WordPress.com to do some heavy lifting. For example, there's a plugin to resize your images for you. Well, they'll send their images from your server to their server, do all the resizing, and then send them back. That way your server isn't doing all that work and doesn't slow down, so your traffic stays up. Let's go take a look at Jetpack on a regular site. I already have it installed on this site, and in the top left is now a Jetpack menu item. And I just click it, and here are all the options. As you can see, I'm not using everything. I don't have Photon turned on, but I am using Protect. I don't use single sign-on or Monitor, nor Wordpress, but I am using Site Stats and sharing. But if I don't want to use sharing, I can simply turn it off. And now it's inactive. Publicize will automatically promote content, related posts, and enhance distribution. Now these tools all need to be activated at once, and I'm not using any of them, so I just leave it off. Here's a button that says see the other 27 Jetpack features, and so here you can activate any one of them. There's custom CSS, contact form, infinite scroll, etc. So this is where you can turn them all off and on. And you can filter them over here. So for example, under Other, there are only 5. You can sort by newest, popular, and alphabetical, and view all or active and inactive. So they're all my active Jetpack plugins. And now because I have the Site Stats activated, I can click Site Stats right here. And it just pulled in all my stats from WordPress.com, and it tells me how I'm doing. Today only 17 views, but it's a Sunday, so that's to be expected. Best ever single day, 683 views. All time, 27,000. And down here it tells me what pages are popular, where people came from, and all of that. All of this is built into Jetpack. Now, some people don't like Jetpack because it is tied to WordPress.com. If WordPress.com were to go down, then some of these features would fail. It's up to you whether or not you want to rely on them as a service. It's not really any different from relying on Google for analytics or any other site for a service. If you've seen some of these tools that look like something you want, go ahead and install Jetpack. It's free and relatively easy to use. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the tools that WordPress has built in. Here in the admin area, in the left nav, there's a Tools section, and then there's Available Tools. The top option here is called Press This. Press This allows you to make a bookmark in your own browser, and then as you're browsing the web, you can just click it, and it will open up an editor on your own blog with information about that page. I'm just going to turn on my bookmarks toolbar here. There, now I have bookmarks here, and I'm going to press this and drag it right up here. And now I have a Press This bookmarklet. So now let's go to some other page. We'll go to nasa.gov. And here we are, and the page is loaded. So now I'm going to click Press This. And here I am making a post in my own blog about NASA. It's not intended to be a full post editor. We have a little icon. We have a minimal toolbar here. We can choose some categories and tags. And we can optionally insert media. But that's about it. Then we can choose to save it as a draft. We can switch to the standard editor, or we can preview or publish. Press This is pretty slick if you find that you want to post about many of the things you find online. Below Press This, you'll find that there is a categories and tags converter available from the import screen. That means that if you have a whole bunch of tags but you want them to be categories, you can convert them easily, and you can go the other direction as well. Now, before we get to the import section, I'd like to show you the export section. Here we have the option to export all content or just posts, just pages, or just media. Note that this does not keep settings. It doesn't keep widgets, it doesn't keep design changes or any of that. This is only your content. So you click Download Export File, and then I will just click Save, and I'll store it right on my desktop. So now, through the magic of editing, I'm actually going to go destroy this website altogether. Alright, so I just blew away this site and brought it back. But, as you can see, I don't have any of my old content. So I'm going to go to Tools, Import. And here you can choose to import from Blogger, Blog Rule, there's the Categories and Tags Converter, LiveJournal, Movable Type and Type Pen, RSS, Tumblr, or WordPress. Now the WordPress importer isn't installed by default. You actually have to install it. So let's do that. So now I'm going to activate plugin and run importer. And now I need to choose my file, which was on my desktop. And I'm going to upload file and import. Now it wants to know what to do with the authorship. In this case, I have the same author in both sites. But if you were importing to a site that did not have the old author, you could choose to simply make a new one. But I'm going to assign to the old one. Now we have the option to download and import file attachments. It's actually not going to work because they were on this same domain and I blew that away. But if I had been importing from another domain, then I would be able to go get the images and bring them in. So let's hit submit. And you can see it failed to import all my media, which was expected. and the sample page already existed. However, now I have my embeds page back, and there's my Flickr image. My photo gallery, videos and audio files aren't going to work because those didn't get imported properly, because they actually don't exist anymore. So that's it for the built-in tools. Any number of plugins can add items to this tools box, and you may find all kinds of things in there. So when you install a new utility plugin, check the tools area to see if they've added anything there. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to manage users in WordPress. If you're the only person that uses your blog, you may not need to worry about the users area. But if nothing else, you'll need to go there to change your own password. So let's take a look. In the left nav of the admin is the users area. We'll click all users. As you can see, there's one user on the site right now. If you hover, you can choose to edit. It can show the name, the email, the role, and how many posts this user has. Under bulk actions, we can choose to delete everybody, which would not be wise. And then we can change someone's role, and we'll go over roles in just a minute. So let's edit this user. So now we're looking at the personal profile of a user. And right at the top, we have the option to disable the visual editor when writing. If you do this, then you have to write all your posts with HTML in them. That's entirely up to you. You can also change the admin color scheme just by clicking. Now it doesn't stick until you hit save at the bottom. You can enable keyboard shortcuts for comment moderation, and there's a link for more information. You can show the toolbar when viewing the site. That's this black bar at the top. And then there's some personal information. There's my username. I can put in my first name and last name. You can put in a nickname, and the site will show the nickname instead of the first or last name. And then you can choose to display the name publicly as any of these things. Then there's contact info, the email address is required, and a website, and a spot for your website address. You can put in some biographical information, and then there's your profile picture, which actually comes from a service called Gravatar. If you don't have a Gravatar account, then you don't have a profile picture. There are some plugins that you can add to change your profile picture. And then you can change your password. You can generate a new one or type in your own. And then if you're logged into this site from another browser, you can choose to log out everywhere else. If you want to add a new user, you can click Add New. The only things that are required are username and email. You can optionally fill in the rest. And then you also have the option to send an email about their new account. Now let's talk about roles. Each user has the option to have a different role. We'll start with administrator. An administrator can do anything on the site. They have full power to do anything. An editor has power to do anything on content. So they can edit, delete, create posts and pages and media and comments, whether they own that post or not. So imagine a blog for a news site that has multiple authors. An editor can go in and manage any post, regardless of who wrote it. But an editor cannot add or remove plugins or change the theme or things like that. Next we have author. An author can do anything to content that they own. So their own posts, basically. So if you have multiple authors, Then each author can manage only their own content, and they can't mess around with other people's content, because that would be way too easy for pranks. And next we have contributor. A contributor can create content, but not publish it. Once a contributor creates some content, then they would alert the editor that it exists, and the editor would go in, review, and either accept or deny. A subscriber can't change anything except their own personal information on their own profile page. However, a subscriber can be logged into the website, and then when they want to comment, it doesn't ask them for their name, email address, or website address. It already knows who they are. Also, it's possible to make some content available only to subscribers, so that you must be logged into the website in order to see it. Think about these roles as you create your new users. What should they be allowed to do? You don't want to allow anyone to do anything that they shouldn't be allowed to do. So don't give everyone administrator and say, be good. Give them only what they need. And then they can't help but be good. In this video, we're going to start taking a look at the settings for WordPress. In the admin bar on the left, at the bottom is the settings menu. If you simply click it, you'll end up going to General, which is the top item. On the General page, you can set your site title and tagline. These show up usually in the header of your site. They can also be set from the customizer. Next, you can set your WordPress address and your site address. Enter the address here if you want your site homepage to be different from your WordPress installation directory. Almost always these are the same. And you don't ever want to change these to something that doesn't work, because you'll probably have a really hard time getting your site back. So I don't recommend messing with these at all. Next is the email address used for admin purposes, like new user notification. This is different from a site admin. This is the email address of the person who's responsible for the system. So this address gets notifications when new users are created, or when someone changes their password. For membership, you can choose to allow anyone to register. If you don't, then the only way to get an account in WordPress is to have an administrator create one. However, if you say anyone can register, then there can be a form on the front end of your website that allows anyone to sign up and become a subscriber. This is neither inherently good nor bad. You may want subscribers, or you may not. That's entirely up to you. And then there's the new user default role. I would highly recommend you leave this at subscriber. If you allow new users to automatically be administrators, then all kinds of trouble is going to happen. Then you can choose a time zone. This can be where your server is, or where you are, or where you want to be. I'm going to choose Detroit. And then date format. You can choose from several presettings, or you can customize. The same goes for time format. And there's a link here for documentation on date and time formatting. Basically, you put different letters in for how you want things to be formatted. And then you can choose what day your week starts on. And then finally, the site language. And this will change the entire interface. So be sure to change it to a language that you speak. Next, we have writing settings. We have the option to convert emoticons like these into graphics on display, so it would convert it to a small yellow smiley face. And then we have the option to have WordPress correct invalidly nested XHTML automatically. This can be tricky. It can be nice to have WordPress clean up your HTML if it's a mess. On the other hand, if it's wrong and you're right, it can be very annoying. Here you can choose your default post category. You can't delete your default post category, but if you don't want uncategorized, you could create something else, set that to the default, and then delete uncategorized. Then there's the default post format. Standard is a regular post. However, if you want a Tumblr style site and you always post images, you could choose image. Then we have the option here to post via email. This is a little complicated, and there's actually an entire series at OS Training about using just this feature. Basically, you set up an email account and you email your posts to it. Then you tell WordPress how to check that email right here. And it will go check for new emails. If it finds one, it'll create a post for it. You can choose a default mail category. Then lastly, WordPress has the ability to update some services out on the internet when you have posted. If we click here, you can go to the codex and see what's available. So, there's a site called Technorati, and another one called blogrolling.com, and weblogs.com, and blog.gs. There are a whole bunch of them here. And it's possible to have WordPress automatically alert them to your post when you make one. Whether or not you do that is entirely up to you. Next, let's look at reading. You can have your front page show your latest posts, which mine is now, or a static page. And if you do that, then you can set a posts page. So I could have my front page be about, and I could make one called news that holds my posts. Your choices here kind of dictate what kind of site you have. If your posts are on your home page, then what you really have is a blog. But if your posts are someplace else, and they're called news, then what you have really is a website with a news section. The next option here, blog pages show at most 10 posts. Now these are archives. You don't really want your archive page to show too many, or people get overwhelmed. So have it only show 10 or so, and then have pagination so they get to see the next 10, and then the next 10. Your website maintains an RSS feed full of your content, but marked up in machine language so that other servers can read it. That way other people can pull your content into their site and render it, giving you links back to your site. This is actually a good thing, because then Google sees links back to your site. Then for each article in that feed, you can choose to show full text or a summary. If you show full text, then it is possible for someone to pull in your content and display it as their own. But if you only do a summary, then they can't do that. And lastly, search engine visibility. Right now, I'm discouraging search engines from indexing this site because it's not a real site. If you leave this on, then Google will never ever find you, and your traffic will be dismal. So, only turn this on during development, and when you're ready to go live, absolutely make sure that you've turned this off. In our next video, we'll take a look at the rest of the settings. In this video, we're going to continue looking at WordPress settings. We're here on the discussion section of settings, and it relates directly to comments. Here at the top, you can choose to attempt to notify any blogs linked to from the article. We briefly spoke about this in a past video. It's called trackbacks or pingbacks. If you mention a remote site in your post, WordPress can optionally try to contact that site and say, hey, I blogged about you. Check it out. Next, you can choose to allow that same service to come back to you, so that if somebody else blogs about you, you can get notified. The problem with this is that spammers love to use it. They'll blog about you all day long, so you get to see their posts about cheap cell phones from Nigeria. And next you can choose to allow people to post comments on new articles or not. And note it says these settings may be overridden for individual articles. Now let's say you make 10 posts with comments turned on. Then you come here and turn comments off. those 10 posts still have them turned on, and you would have to turn them off individually or use a plugin to go back through and turn them off on past posts. Here we can choose to require an author to fill out their name and email. You can choose to require that users be registered and logged in to comment. These would be subscribers. You can choose to automatically close comments on articles older than a certain number of days. This keeps spammers from coming in and filling up your comments on very old posts. You can choose to enable threaded or nested comments, however levels deep. You can also break comments into pages with 50 top-level comments per page and the last page displayed by default. This is useful if you get hundreds or thousands of comments on a post. You don't want to load that page with all of them because it would take forever. So you limit and you say, only show me 50 comments with a link to see the next 50. And then you can choose to have comments displayed with the older or newer comments at the top of each page. You can choose to be emailed when anyone posts or when a comment is held for moderation. And before a comment appears, a comment must be manually approved or the comment author must have a previously approved comment. I particularly like this feature and I run it on my blog. It means that anytime a new person comments, it must be approved. But once they've been approved, they can continue to comment without moderation. This works if I trust that author. This is why spammers will occasionally post very genuine looking comments, because they want you to approve them so that they can continue to post unmoderated in the future. So be careful with this feature. Then there's comment moderation. Hold a comment in the queue if it contains 2 or more links. Then you can blacklist strings in here, words or IP addresses or URLs or email addresses or anything like that. Then the more serious blacklist will not just mark them as spam or hold them for moderation, but just put them right in the trash. Next, we have an avatar section. You can choose to show avatars or not. Avatars are just small pictures. And you can choose a rating for your site. G, PG, R, and X. And then you can show a default avatar. And you can pick any of these. This is for users who don't really have an avatar. Next, let's look at our media settings. By default, a thumbnail is 150 by 150, and it's cropped. You can change that to any size you wish right here. And then you can choose to crop thumbnail to exact dimensions. You can also set the size for medium and the size for large. And then for uploading files, you can organize your uploads into month and year based folders. This can make it nice for finding pictures on the file system with FTP. However, it can also be nice to have all your images in one giant folder. This is entirely preference based and up to you. Lastly, let's look at permalinks. We went over permalinks in one of the early videos in this series. You can choose to have your URLs for your posts and pages look like any of these. Post name is most liked by Google, and I recommend it. You can also choose a base for categories and tags. By default, it's /category/travel, but you can change it to topics or any other word. This would be used if it makes more sense to your end users to make a more logical URL, something that they can understand just by looking at it. If you don't find that useful, then I recommend leaving it alone and leaving it at category and tag. In this video, we're going to talk about security. When you talk about security in WordPress, several different lines get blurred. One of the coolest parts about WordPress is its ability to have plugins that add functionality. That's also its largest security hole, because you're allowing someone you don't know to run code on your site. They may have a good reputation and you may trust them, but maybe they have a security flaw. You can't really know until it happens. Another line that gets blurred is the line between WordPress security and just general website security. There are things that should be done to secure your website no matter what content management system you're using. WordPress core itself is actually very, very secure. It's had many, many security reviews. People look at it all the time, constantly trying to break it. And every now and again, there's a security flaw found, and it gets fixed immediately. And for minor point releases, rather than a full version, WordPress updates itself. So when there's a security flaw found, WordPress.org will release a new version, and your version will update itself and plug the hole so you don't have to worry about it. Let's take a look at a variety of things that you can do to enhance the security of your own website. On WordPress.org, under Support, there's a section called Hardening WordPress, and that means making it more difficult to break in. And I'm not going to read you everything on this page. You should read it, and you should understand what's going on here. It's not that complicated, and it gives some excellent ideas on things that you can do to keep your site secure. If you have no plugins, your number one security problem is going to be your own password. Make sure you have a good one. Assuming that you do, you're almost certainly safe. But there are other things that can happen besides someone breaking into your website. It's possible to try to break into your website so often and so hard that it brings down your server and your site's offline. And that's no good. Even though they didn't break in and ruin your things, your site's down, which has maybe a worse effect. So we're going to take a look at a few things that you can do to prevent that sort of thing as well. This is the website for Securi. They do a variety of things. Originally, it was a hack cleanup service. If you'd already been hacked, they would come in, clean up the bad code, figure out how they got in, and tell you how to fix it. Then they released a plugin to help harden WordPress so that you don't get hacked as often. Then they released a service where they can set up a firewall between your website and the rest of the world so that when somebody comes to try to hack your site, they don't even get to your site. They hit the firewall. It's an excellent service, and I highly recommend it. They have a free plugin, and you can also pay a monthly fee for regular access to their service, both for cleanup and advice and access to their firewall. Here's a complete list of the features, and again, I'm not going to read them all, but many of them sit outside your website. They sit between you and an attacker, which is great because it's less complex for your own site. Another option is built into Jetpack. There used to be a plugin called Brute Force Protect. It was purchased by Automatic and is now rolled into Jetpack. And so now, if you have Jetpack installed, there are a number of things you can do. You can whitelist your IP address, which means only you can access your site. You can monitor your site to see what's going on. You can put in a math CAPTCHA on your login page. All sorts of things. And this is all free. So if you're looking for a free path, this might be a good place to look. Next is iThemes Security, which is an excellent plugin. It also does a number of things that Jetpack does, and this is the free version on WordPress.org. It does user action logging, two-factor authentication, import-export settings, malware scan scheduling, password expiration, and a whole host of other things. There's also a pro version, which adds a number of other features. iThemes Security has a distinct advantage of being run by the same people who make Backup Buddy, and so the security plugin works flawlessly with your backup plugin. That makes it easy to restore backups if you've been hacked and overwrite the bad code. Aside from these plugins, there are some common sense things that you should always do. Always maintain good passwords. If you have multiple users on your site, there are plugins you can get to enforce good passwords so that someone you don't know who uses your site can't put in a garbage password and get hacked quickly. Examine carefully any plugins and themes that you use. This is code written by somebody other than WordPress, and you're letting them run it on your website. How do you know they don't have malicious intent? Simply be careful. Most plugins and themes are open source, and so people can see them. If somebody tries to release something malicious, it's probably going to get caught very quickly. So get your plugins and themes from reputable sources. Look for reviews. Look for age. Make sure that it's been around a while. People trust it. People are familiar with the author. Then, if you do get hacked, I do recommend Securi. They're excellent at logging into your website, finding the hack, and cleaning it up and plugging the hole. Relatively speaking, it's not that expensive. It might seem expensive at first, but I can tell you it's less expensive than dealing with a long-term hack. So, as you go about using your WordPress, make sure you have good passwords and watch carefully on your plugins and themes. In this video, we're going to talk about getting rid of spam. Comment spam can drive you crazy. It can fill up your database, it can slow down your website, even if they never get to the front of the site. It's just horrible stuff. So you want to be able to block it or get rid of it somehow. WordPress has a spam flag for comments. You can mark a comment as spam. Out of the box, that doesn't really do anything other than mark it as spam. It doesn't remove it from the database. It doesn't help your website remember other kinds of spam. It just simply sits there. So what you want is an automated way, something to read through your comments for you and figure out what is spam, and then mark that. Then you don't need to worry about it. If you go to wordpress.org and plugins and search for spam, you will find more than 1,000 plugins. That's a lot of plugins that do anti-spam things. Here we have WP Spam Shield Anti-Spam. It has over 100,000 active installs and was only updated 2 weeks ago. Anti-Spam by Clean Talk, no CAPTCHA, no comments, and registration spam has over 40,000 active installs. WP Spam Free Anti-Spam has over 60,000 installs. These work and they're popular. All they do is read through your comments for you and mark the appropriate ones as spam. Another service that's available is called Akismet, and this is run by WordPress.com. Akismet is a server that sits somewhere else, and your comments all go through that, and it compares against all known spam in the world. Then it can mark yours as either spam or not spam. There's a free model and a pay model. For Enterprise, it's $50 a month. For Backup, it's $9 a month. For Plus, it's $5 a month. And then for non-commercial use, it's name your price. And you can name 0 if you wish. Or you can give a monthly donation to them for letting you use their service. Each of these, once they're installed and working, will start sending comments to your spam filter. And if you have comments on at all, anywhere, you're going to get spam and you're going to get lots of it. The better quality your spam filter, the less of it you actually have to see. I can't tell you the number of times I've logged into a client's site and see that their spam folder has 1,500 things in it, or even once 10,000 things in it. This is a problem because if you try to delete them, your web server will time out before it gets done, simply because of how long it takes to delete 10,000 spam comments. So I also recommend batch comment spam deletion. This will go through and delete your spam in chunks so that it doesn't time out. You can say, go ahead and delete 10,000 spam items and walk away and come back 10 minutes later and all 10,000 will be gone. No timeouts. So if you ever get stuck in a position where you have many spam comments, because Akismet's doing its job wonderfully, I recommend batch comment spam deletion. Because there are so many different options for anti-spam in WordPress, you should really try as many as you feel like it until you find one that works for you. If you find that one is letting too much spam through and you can't tighten its filters, go look for another one. There are many, many free ones. Personally, I use Akismet and I like it, but not everybody does like it because it's a service and your comments get routed through their servers. So try several, find one you like, and if it works for you, more power to you. The longer you have your WordPress site, the more content you put on it, and the more time and energy you have invested in it. The more time and energy you have invested in it, the more valuable it is to you, and the more worth it is to make backups. There are a number of plugins that will help you make backups within WordPress. I'm at the plugin directory here on WordPress.org, and I searched for backup, and there are 812 plugins that will help you with backups. I've only used a few of them, and I'm going to go over a couple of them. But that said, that doesn't mean that any of these might work just as well for you. So feel free to try some and see what works well for you. One that I like that's free is called Duplicator. I actually use it more for cloning and moving and transferring sites than just backup, but it does a wonderful job as backup. I have it installed on my server here, and in the bottom left, you'll see Duplicator, and it has packages. A package is a backup. So I'm simply going to create new. It makes up a name for me, and that's fine. I can leave it like that. It checks some requirements to make sure that I can do this, and it passed. For storage, I'm using local storage, but I could, if I had the professional version, store it offsite at Amazon, Dropbox, Google Drive, or FTP it to someplace else. I could choose to back up the files and the database, or just the database. And I can filter things out. I can say, I have a folder full of pictures that aren't really related to my site. I don't want to back those up. Let's just exclude those. And the same with the database. These are my database tables. But if I had some other tables from some other CMS, I could say, no, I don't want that in this backup. It's not related. And then you can have it include an installer file. This would be the information for the other server, the new server, so that you can upload both the installer and your zip file and say, hey, install this zip file on this server, and it just takes care of it for you. I'm not going to make an installer. I'm just going to hit next. Now it does another scan. It makes sure I have the space to do this. It makes sure everything's working properly. And then I hit build. There. The package is completed. It made an installer file, which I could download, but I didn't put anything good in it, so it doesn't really matter. So I can click Archive, and then I can choose to save this archive. Now, if you go to Settings and Tools, you can automate this. You can say back it up every day. And then you can optionally come here and click to download every day. Or you can have it back up off-site, which is really ideal. You shouldn't be making backups to the same server that your site is on. A hardware failure or malicious hacker could delete them. Let's look at another option. This is called Backup Buddy, and in my opinion is the best backup plugin there is available for WordPress. It has a zillion features, but my absolute favorite is, as far as I know, it's the only backup plugin that will allow you to restore a single file. Every other backup plugin that I know of requires that you restore the entire website. So if you made a new post yesterday, too bad, it's gone. If you uploaded some pictures, too bad, they're gone. With Backup Buddy, you can open up the zip file and say, I need that file back, and it will restore just that one, or just a section of the database, or any number of things like that. It's not free. For a blogger, you can pay $80 a year to back up 2 sites. Now, $80 a year also gets you excellent support. If something goes wrong, they'll help you. It also comes with 1 gigabyte of Backup Buddy Stash storage space. So if your site contents are less than 1 gig, they will host your backups offsite for you. If you need more sites, you can pay more money. $297 gets you a lifetime of unlimited sites. That's only a couple of years of the blogger, and only 2 years of the developer. So if you really love Backup Buddy and you're going to use it long term, I highly recommend the gold version. That said, all backup plugins have a few basic features. They back your stuff up, and they let you do it on a schedule. Additional features are allowing you to back it up off-site, allowing you to restore only bits and pieces, being able to make backups in different file formats. There are a number of options. But at their fundamental, they should back up your stuff and let you save it someplace. Feel free to try any number of the free ones here. Duplicator is great. I love it. If your site is extremely valuable to you and you never want to lose it, I recommend Backup Buddy. In this video, we're going to talk about keeping WordPress up to date. I've taken the site that I've been using for this whole series, and I've rolled it back several versions. You can tell that there are things to update in several ways. In the admin bar, there's a little ring of arrows and a 7. And if you hover over it, it'll say there's 1 WordPress update, 2 plugin updates, and 4 theme updates. And then over here on the left, you see the same kind of thing. On plugins, you see that there are 2 updates. Under Appearance, it doesn't say anything about the themes. So let's click Updates. Here at the top, it says an updated version of WordPress is available. Now we're going from a much older version up to 4.4.1. If it were a minor point release, like from point 1 to point 2, then WordPress would update itself. But because this is a bigger jump, it needs manual intervention. So I'm going to click Update Now. There. We've just updated WordPress. And you can see at the top there are only 6 things. Now I want to show you some things about plugins. Duplicator is active, Akismet is not, and yet it still knows there are new versions for both. I could either click the checkboxes and bulk update, or if I only need to update 1 or a couple, I can simply click Update Now, and you can see it's updating. And it's done. And now that one is done as well. Now all I have to do are the themes. So I'm going to go back to Updates. So here it used to say we had 2 plugins, but now they're all up to date. But we have 4 themes to update. I'm simply going to select all and click Update Themes. And there they are, all updated. If you show details, it simply says that it downloaded the new one, unpacked the update, installed the latest, removed the old version, and the theme is updated successfully. That's all there is to keeping WordPress up to date. Now, if you need to keep multiple sites up to date, that can be a pain. And so there are services to help with that. Jetpack has a built-in service that allows you to update multiple sites at one time. There's another site called WP Remote, which is a free service that also allows you to keep multiple sites up to date. So if you have multiple sites, I recommend you use one of these services, because keeping them all up to date is very important for security and features, and doing multiple sites at a time can be a real pain.